Some call him the Rose of Sharon, others call him the Prince of Peace. But tell me,
The only thing to do is give God the glory. The only thing to do, the only thing to do, the only thing to do is give God the glory.
glory
hear she say this. He's a wonder, 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 he's a wonder.
We've been there too long. Let's go. Well, I know you didn't know. Say that if he's
Join us March 31st, Easter morning worship. Guest artists, and Twan Cooks.
Everybody put your hands on like this. Y'all ready? Everybody knows it. Let's go. Lord, you're awesome. Y'all sing. Lord, you're awesome.
With a life-changing word from Reverend Dr. Keith D. Tillett.
Good. You ought to look at your neighbor and say, he's good. He's good all the time. Even in my bad choices.
It's Easter 2024.
Hey, you keep on making a way for me.
Join us March 31st, Easter morning worship. Guest artists, and Twan Cooks.
Everybody put your hands on like this. Y'all ready? Everybody knows it. Let's go. Lord, you're awesome. Y'all sing. Lord, you're awesome.
With a life-changing word from Reverend Dr. Keith D. Tillett.
Good. You ought to look at your neighbor and say, he's good. He's good all the time. Even in my bad choices.
It's Easter 2024.
Hey, you keep on making a way for me.
Join us.
Last week we were together. Man, this place was packed. I mean, you didn't even have any room in here. I said, man, it started raining and they say folk like sugar. You know, when sugar get wet, you know what it does? It just melts. But y'all are here today, and I'm just so glad that you're here today. We're going to get started momentarily, but I do. Are we? Am I on? All right. For those of you that are interested in purchasing, I have Bibles I'm selling. I do, and in my Bible I have also the Black National Anthem is there, and also a copy of Tyler Perry's "Medea Goes to Jail," and you can purchase these Bibles. My trunk will be open immediately after Bible study, and you can. I got 4, I got 1, let's see, 5 here. Okay, all right. Joshua's going to we're going to write it down, make sure that everybody gets a copy of my Bible. I'll be selling it. And I also have some tennis shoes I'm selling out my trunk. They're silver. They're silver. It's like the silver slippers. I'll be selling those out of my trunk as well. And just wanted you all to I thought I'd share that with you before we start noonday Bible study again. Can I ask you a question? Has anybody, have y'all how long have y'all stopped praying? Have y'all been praying? When did you stop praying? So you've been praying. So we don't have to worry about America praying again, huh? Because y'all been praying. Y'all ain't with me. I do. Oh my goodness. Right. All right. I'm done. I think I'm done. I'm finished. Can I be finished now? I just knew that you all would be excited. Brother Brimfield is going to make sure that those Bibles get in here, and I'll make sure that you get one of my Bibles. And mine's a little bit cheaper. My Bibles are going to be $59.99. $59.99. $59.99. Oh man, you know something? Man, if you would have called me on the phone and told me that, I wouldn't have believed you. I would not have believed you. If you would have called me and said that on the phone, I would not have believed you. But I believe just about anything nowadays. Folk can do anything. Good gracious, they'll do anything. Let me take this moment and express my sincere gratitude to each and every one of you. Those of you, I had a couple of meetings on yesterday, and I had to cancel those meetings because myself and my administrative assistant are working together to make sure that certain days are not taken. And on yesterday, was my wife's birthday. And so I decided that because it was her birthday, that all meetings were canceled. And we did breakfast together, and we shopped and went out the day together, and we had dinner together last night, and we just spent the whole day together. And that's, since we're talking about relationship building, right? I mean, I had to do that. I lost some power in the monitor just a little bit. Was there just a little bit more? You know me, I like to hear myself because I don't talk that loud. But yeah, I just wanted you to know that's what we were doing on yesterday. And again, I cannot have any discussion about relationship building unless I practice what I preach. I'll never forget, and I'm sure it's the same here, that my former chairman of the trustee board, Brother Walter Hendricks, as well as my former preacher steward, as a matter of fact, the officers, period, used to always say, they used to say things like this to me. He said, Pastor, you need to make sure you spend time with your family. And they would always say, your family's first. We can take care of this. You do what you need to do. Take care of your family. Because one day, you're going to look up, and your kids are going to be grown and gone. And I'm seeing that manifesting itself even now as my daughter, of course, is getting ready to graduate from college, and my son is on his way to college. And so, and at the time they used to tell me that even the late Bishop Lewis Hunter used to always talk about that as well. And so I try to do that. I try to do that to the best of my ability. And again, I can't talk about building better relationships unless I demonstrate that. And so I just wanted you to know, if you were one of those class leaders that was supposed to meet on yesterday, you did not see me yesterday because I was courting yesterday. I was courting strong. I'm telling you, I was courting strong. I'm telling you. And it was weird, It was weird, It was weird leaving each other today. That was real weird because we had that whole day yesterday together. And look, even if we didn't do anything but just sit on the sofa and look into each other's eyes, that would have been enough. That would have been enough for me. You stared long enough, I didn't say nothing else. Y'all feel it. I didn't fill it in the blank. I see you. But is everybody good today? Everybody good? You all made it out in the midst of this weather. this rain and all of that, you made it here. And I certainly thank God and appreciate you being here. And from time to time, I always come in with a purpose, in terms of what I give you, where we left off. But sometimes I come in and God just starts hitting me with some other information that ties in with what what we've been talking about. But I think if any place folk ought to find, I think, solace, you ought to find peace, is in the church. And so when I talk about relationships, one of the areas that I did some research and study in is workplace relationships, but also when I looked at that thing, it really spoke to the church, because we all have roles and work and responsibilities that we do in the life of the church. And so as I was kind of looking at that skeleton in terms of the various components that help us to build and develop better relationships, working relationships, it also speaks, I believe, to the church as well. It really, really does. And so I think I want to whisper a few of those things today. And so you may have to get your pens out and write. I know that you all probably love to get papers in your hands and handouts and all those kinds of things. And, we've been talking about, working on those things for a while. But who was the one preacher? Man, I can't remember his name. The mega preacher got up and told the congregation, said, he said, the document I want to pass out to you today is the Bible. And so anything else that I say, he said, just pull out a piece of paper and take some great notes, because, I was working on that, but Malik told me that I didn't really need to do that. And so I was going to give you some notes, but Malik said, don't do that. No, he didn't say that. In the name of the Father, Son, and blessed Holy Ghost, we pray. Amen. I had to pray after the the selling of the Bibles. I had to pray afterwards. I didn't want to pray first and then talk about that. I had to talk about that first, then we pray. How many of you here? How many of you in here today are by show of hands, are in a relationship? By show of hands, are in a relationship. Show of hands, are in a relationship. Show of hands. Show of hands. Okay, y'all, you kind of got a little confused. I'm just speaking generally. In relationships, you have relationships. Yeah, I have friends and family, and whether there's all kinds of working relationships. I had a former member, God rest her soul, Rebecca Scott Hall. Rebecca Scott Hall was the most senior member of the St. Paul Church, and she was cute. She was sassy, and she used to, when I would have conversations about relationships, she would always tell me, said, Pastor, you speaking to the young people, and she had to be about 95 at the time. She said, Pastor, you speaking to the young people. She said, but for some of us older folk, we still got a fire burning in us too. I said, Mother Hall. I said, Pastor, I'm just telling you the truth. She said what she said. So I never assume, because I don't assume that the fires. Look at somebody say, fire's still burning, fire's still burning, still burning. Because that and I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth about her, and she will, and if she were alive and in here today, she would want me to tell you what I'm telling. She would want me to tell you. She used to see, oh my God, she would tell me. He said, Pastor, she's 95. She's 95 years old. I'm telling you, Brother Brimfield, she would step out in the middle of the aisle. And we in church now. And she said, Pastor, I can still drop it. I'm telling you the truth. She was the president president of the nurses unit and a deaconess in the life of the church. And she would get out now and she would show us that she could go down and she can come back up at 95. I'm telling you the truth. Man, I wish I could get on the phone now and call one of the former members and say, I need a witness in here because they don't believe me. But she did, and so you know, she was real cute, and but she was sassy and sophisticated and all of that kind of stuff, you know, and she was looking, you know, she was looking. Anytime a new brother come around the church, she was looking. I'm just telling you, she was looking. But wonderful spirit she was, and so I have learned to not assume. I'm just not. So what we share as it relates to relationships and all of that, even if it's dating relationships, that's for everybody in here. That's for everybody. Marital relationships. Some people are married. Some folk are you know, you're single. You're seasoned and single. But let me tell you something. I got something for you too. Genesis chapter 21 is where we were. Listen. I got to do this today. You know, we were talking about the relationship between Abimelech and Abraham. You know, talking about that relationship where they had to trust had to be regained or rebuilt. There was also some conflict resolution going on in the midst of that relationship. But I want to share something, I think, with you today because there were 4 points. I think there were 4 points. And the first point, I know you probably wrote it down. Tell me what that first point was. If you can you help me with it? First point was... So you have to be proactive in, So what does that look like? What does that look like to you? Being proactive. What's that look like? What's that? Knowledge and godly wisdom that God might lead you to some places to help you deal with conflicts before they manifest themselves. There's a piece that I think I'm going to get to today, I'm going to talk about today, that talks about not allowing things to sit around and fester, to ignore them, but to jump on them immediately, because sometimes if we don't jump on them, or in most cases, if we don't jump on them immediately, what typically happens is it festers, it turns into a volcano, and we end up having a hot mess in the future. Nobody's talking about it, but everybody knows that everybody knows, we understand the elephant in the room, but nobody's talking about it. And so we have to make sure that we're proactive. Not, here it is, not what? Reactive. And reactive kind of deals with what? What are your thoughts about reactive as it relates to relationships? We talk about being proactive, but reactive. Reactive means to you what? Right, but so reactive then is it's typically our response after something happens, and the proactive is let's make sure that we deal with this before something pops off. Especially if we have relationships with people that are in relationship with folk, and remember when I say in relationship, I'm not always talking about Mother Hall. I'm talking about relationships with children and siblings, people, your community, church relationships, work relationships, all types of relationships. Being proactive when you know people and you know what makes people tick and what ticks people off. It will help you know how to be proactive in how we interact with people. If you know that there are certain words that will cause. Can I be honest today with you? There are some situations where people know that if they say the right thing, they're gonna set somebody off. And some people know it, but they do it on purpose. Y'all missed what I said. Because hurting people typically hurt other people. And so if you do something to hurt me, I'm going to come back at you with something, right? Instead of using that, we have to do better in how we communicate with people. It kind of falls under the umbrella of communication and how we communicate with people. I think it's very, very important, right? So that whole proactive and reactive. What about the second point? What did we say, number 2? Number 2, we said, you said deal dishonestly with people? Well, hold on a second. You said honestly. So what if you were getting ready to get into a committed relationship with somebody, but there was something that popped off in your past relationship that you did, and it was wrong, but you said you're not going to tell this new person because you don't want them to know, because if they know, then they may not want to be bothered with you. What you going to do? Because you just said be honest now. I didn't say that. You said that. I said be dishonest. I said don't tell them. Take it to your grave. Don't tell. You say tell them. You say have that honest conversation. I guess if because somebody has said if you don't tell them and they find out later, then what happens to the relationship? Right. I hear conflicts. Conflict happens because of what? Who said that? Because of trust issues, distrust. Now what typically happens, you didn't tell me the truth before, so now my brain works like a computer, and I start to try to calculate to see what is it that you said that may have been a lie also. It creates what's called distrust. And so we have to be honest to the best of our ability, because that's what you said. Number 2 was what? Be honest with folk. Be honest with people. Be honest with people. To the best of your ability, be honest with them. You stole their money 10 years ago. You going to let it go? You going to tell them? Y'all kind of got quiet on me a little bit. All right, we're going to be honest. All right, we're going to. What was number 3? Oh, we didn't get to number 3? Oh, man. All right, good. We finished 1 and 2. All right. Let me do this before I get to number 3. Write down working relationships or church relationships. Working relationships and or church relationships. As humans, we are naturally sociable. We are. We were developed and created that way. So it really makes sense that the better our relationships are, the happier we're going to be. The better our relationships are, the happier that we're going to be. Let me say that for a third time. The happier that we are, the better our relationships are going to be. It's nothing like being unhappy in relationship. It will drive you crazy. Now listen, this applies to our personal life, but also to our workplace or our church life. Good relationships with people you work with in the church. Good relationships with people you work with every day will result in you feeling happier. Notice I said good relationships. They'll make you feel better. You'll be, number 2, more engaged. And number 3, as Bishop Strickland would say, for God's sake, you'd be more productive. You are happier, you are more engaged, and more productive. The opposite of that, bad relationships, the opposite of that is I'm not happy, I will not engage, and will be extremely unproductive. That's the opposite. Whether you write that down or not, if you wrote down the first part, just the opposite is unhappy, non-engagement, and certainly unproductive. All of our interaction at some time as it relates to our relationships are extremely crucial. The way we interact with people, it's crucial. Positive relationships, church relationships, can have a range of benefits, and I'm going to give you some benefits. What are the benefits of good relationships? Here they go. Number one, now that last word we lifted up was productivity. So let's talk about increased productivity, number one. Increased productivity, number one. Increased productivity. When people get along, they are naturally more productive. Like I was sharing with you yesterday, that I was determined that although, and I was talking, I think, yesterday with my administrative assistant, and I was sharing with him there are certain dates that need to go on the calendar that you need to be aware of, so that when we're making what do you call them, appointments, that they don't go on the calendar, certain dates, for nothing. And there's certain, I don't care what it is, certain dates will not, nothing will interfere with these dates. Y'all missed what I just said. Nothing and nobody interferes with this date. Does that make sense? And so that helps to increase my productivity. What I did yesterday increased my productivity. Y'all missed what I just said. It did, because had it been the opposite, because you wrote it down, it would have been unproductive. And sometimes people don't talk about it, right? Sometimes people don't say, "You missed my day." But they can carry that with them. And it can come out in the way people interact with each other. Does that make sense? So, increased productivity. When people get along, they are naturally what? More productive. When they get along, they're more productive. Even in the church, when people get along, they're more productive. I guess that's kind of oxymoronic. How come people in church don't get along? I mean, I'm not asking a question. I mean, people in church should get along with each other, because we are believers. We are the children of God, and we should be different than the world. But did you notice that sometimes the world behaves better than the church? Okay, did y'all know that? Number two. The second benefit is improved morale. Improved morale or confidence or self-esteem. You gonna be happier is what I'm really trying to say. Because again, the last place you should come and be unhappy is church. It's the last place. Number three, as it relates to church, I always say, is effective teamwork. Good relationships will positively impact the team or the group or the ministry that you're working with. Effective teamwork. Effective teamwork. I can't be an usher or in the greeting ministry or even the clergy team if there's not effective teamwork. It becomes dysfunctional if we're not working together as a team. if the music ministry is not working together as a team? What happens if the musicians decide we're not going to work together as a team and we playing this song on Sunday? Organist is going one way, keyboards going the other way, drums going a different way, horns going another way. Everybody's all over the place. But, and it's interesting because I started to use that as an example. I was going to get Brother Brandon to bring in the musicians and have them get behind us, behind the curtain, and start playing Dysfunctional. I was going to have them play Amazing Grace, Dysfunctional. I was going to have the organist go one way, keyboard player go another way, drummer go different. And then I was going to say, okay, now let's play in unison. Let's play together. Effective teamwork. Good relationships will positively impact the team. Number 4. It's good for personal growth. Ooh, I like that one. It's good for personal growth. Benefits, good for personal growth. You can benefit from the knowledge of people you work with and feel encouraged to succeed in the role that you play. Somebody missed it. You can benefit from the knowledge of other people. That's just a better way of saying you don't know it all. Not one person knows everything. It's always beneficial for the chairperson or pastor or leader to hear the voices of other people that are on the team. Otherwise, the only person you're listening to, ooh, that was good. Look at somebody say yourself. And that's all the time. Because other folk got good wisdom and good knowledge and good information to give. They really, really do. They really, really do. Look at somebody say, try it sometime. Try it sometime. Try it sometime. Try it sometime. You can benefit. You can benefit. A whole lot of people fail to benefit because they fail to listen to other people. Even a good CEO of a major corporation has enough sense to listen to other people in the company. Y'all missed what I said. And not just listen, because some people listen but never respond to what they hear. The CEO of Ford would never make it, or any of these other major corporations, unless they listen to their team. And I got another one for you. The team is only as successful as listening to the customer. Woo, I just said something else. You can't have the team making all the decisions and not having conversation with the customers. What to put in the store, what not to put in the store, what sells in this area, what sells in that area. That's extremely important. Very, very important. I used to work in corporate America for American Stores, one of the major grocery store chains on the West Coast and Midwest. And we had a way of doing research and study into what sells in different communities and neighborhoods. Somebody missed it. Because otherwise, I'm going to put in your neighborhood what you don't like and what you don't buy. And guess what's going to happen to it? It's going to sit on the shelf. And then once it sits on the shelf too long, it ends up going off the shelf and ends up going in the trash. And the there it is. And the corporation loses money. Man, this is good. Man, I started to go somewhere, but I said I better not do that. If it's not productive, then something needs to change. All right. Can I keep on going? Because it's going to get better. 5 ways. Now, I've given you those 4. And those 4 deal with what are the benefits, right? The main benefits of good working relationships within the church. But here are 5 ways to build strong relationships. 5 ways to build strong relationships. Here are what are called the top 5 ways to establish strong relationships. Number 1, and I know you're going to love this one, because this goes back to, I think, one of the major points we talked about in the text between Abimelech and Abraham. Here it is. Number 1, you've got to have open and honest communication. Open and honest communication. We had a great conversation about that, I think, in evening Bible study, where there was a question that was lifted up as it relates to relationships, and it was about how we convey what we're trying to say. Because sometimes you can be open and you can be honest, but you can be nasty. Somebody missed what I said. Look at somebody, say, it's about your approach. It's about how you communicate that. Open and honest communication. You can be open and honest, but not nasty. Because remember, we said earlier when we were talking, some people in their communication in relationships can be nasty. They can be. Now, let me say this because I think it's important, and I say it often. One of the great mystics wrote this, and I think it is so true. I think it's biblical. I think it's the way God operates, and the way we should be operating as well. Don't ever let anybody pull you out of your space. Your communication space, how you operate, how you function. Be who you are, but don't let anybody else do something to you and make you act outside of yourself. That's just a better way of saying if somebody cusses at you, that you don't turn around and cuss back at them. Because if you do that, they've defeated you. Did you hear what I just said? If somebody says something to you out of character, you don't have to respond the same way. If you do, you've allowed them to control your reaction and your responses. And in the world that we live in today, it happens all the time. That's why I was sharing with you earlier when we kind of first started this series, and we were talking about some of this communication and people killing each other over stuff that makes absolutely no sense. It's all about communication, how people interact with people and how people respond. Remember we said the fella killed the other fella because of the thermostat? Although we talked about it was probably something deeper than that. But even if it ends up with the thermostat, don't allow that to cause you to act outside of who God has called you to be. That's really where I'm going. Open and honest communication. Good relationships rely on good communication. Good communication. Whether it's face-to-face or on the telephone or by email. Don't send a nasty text message. And don't leave a nasty phone message. And don't send a nasty email. I don't even like communicating by text and by email. I really don't. I really don't, because people can misunderstand what you text and what you email. I like to have conversation. I like to talk, because then you can hear what I'm saying. You can hear the tone of my voice and everything. But I can send an email to you and you say, man, and it's something altogether. I usually don't, some simple communications, if I want to send, a letter reminding somebody of something or that's cool. But if we have an issue, I'm not going to respond to you with my issue by way of a text or an email. We got to sit down and have a conversation. That's what I'm trying to say. If something's not going right, then we got to, I can't pull my phone out and say, you were wrong in what you did, and the devil's going to get you for that. Sit it down. All caps, right? All caps. Explanation points. And sometimes we communicate things, and we didn't mean it that way. But somebody else took it that way. If that makes sense. Being open and honest, or what I always say transparent and professional, helps establish what we call trust, and it establishes connection. Talking about in the church. In the church. And here's another thing. Look at your neighbor, say, listen. Listening. Uh-oh, that's a good one. Some people talk more than they listen. You know somebody like that? They don't even listen. You're trying to convey, and they trying to talk at the same time. Or every time you say something, they come back. Say, well, I just wanted to talk about the situation about the car. Well, you shouldn't have been driving it in the first. Whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. We gotta have some conversation, right? So communication, listening is involved in that. So listening is just as important as talking. Listening is just as important as talking. Active listening is a valuable skill to develop and helps build trust. Active listening. We'll talk about active listening. Active listening. Focus on what people say and take time to consider before you respond. Ooh, that's good right there. That's good. See, there's some helpful stuff right here. Still number one. Still number one. Mm-hmm. Still on number one. This is good stuff. I'm still on number one. I'm still number one. Remember now, number one is have open and honest communication. I'm still on number one. Active listening is a part of number one. Active listening is when you not only hear what someone is saying, but also attune to their thoughts and their feelings. Active listening turns a conversation into an active, ooh, I love this one, non-competitive, two-way interaction. We're not competing against each other when there's active listening going on. Yes, I will. Active listening turns a conversation into an active, bless you, non-competitive, two-way interaction. Active listening turns a conversation into an active, non-competitive, two-way interaction. And what I mean by that is this. Here's the conversation. You didn't take the trash out. But you didn't cut the grass. Y'all missed what I said. And then from there, it takes off. You didn't take the trash. Oh, man, I forgot. I should have taken that trash. I forgot about it. My bad. I forgot to take it out. I'm going to take care of that right now. You didn't wash, right. You didn't wash the car. And then and you didn't make the bed. And you didn't, and you didn't, and then it blows up. But here it is. Active listening is when you hear what somebody's saying. You hear it and you attune or adjust to their thoughts and their feelings. That's the other part of it. You hear it and you attune or adjust to their thoughts and their feelings. You do that. Can I tell you this? Everybody has feelings. Everybody does. Number two. Man, all that was under number one. Number two. Told you I was moving with this. This is some good stuff. I'm telling you, this is some really, really good stuff. Number two, develop people skills. Some people don't know how to deal with people. Some people don't know. I was just getting ready to say that. Some people don't know how to deal with people in leadership. They are in leadership and don't know how to deal with people. Can I pick on preachers for a while? Just because you can preach don't mean you ought to be pastoring. Y'all missed what I said. There's a whole lot of folk that can preach and make you shout up and down the aisles, but they are terrible leaders. And we ought to be. The late Bishop Reuben Lee Speaks used to always have these great conversations riding up and down the highway, and he would always say, "Now, I'd rather have a so-so preacher and a great pastor than a great preacher and a so-so pastor. He wanted a pastor with some skills and ability to be able to interact with people and not just preach and get folk happy and shout on Sunday and act crazy on Monday. Ooh, I didn't mean to go there. This came from this area over here. I just picked it up. It came from, I just picked up. You see, when this is call and response. So when y'all throw stuff this way, I grab it and I work with it a little bit. Right, in leadership. In leadership. In leadership. Leadership. Got to know how to develop people skills. This means your ability to relate to other people. I always say we do all kinds of tests. We do criminal background checks, when people, but we never look at folk emotionally, where people are. You better check stuff like that out. If we don't, you're going to end up with a problem on your hands. And a whole lot of places and institutions have, because they haven't checked stuff like that out. You got to know what's ticking in folks' heads. Especially when can I ask you this? Now this is one of the things that my wife and I, we had to make sure. When the kids were little and they were going to daycare, you better make sure that wherever you send them folk in there are right. Because they will abuse your children. And a lot of times you won't even know it. The stuff that they do to kids in some of these places. Does that sound? Okay, all right. Developing your own people skills will help you build successful relationships. For example, how you deal with conflict and understand your own strengths and your own weaknesses. Understanding your own strengths and your own weaknesses. Everybody ought to know your strength and you ought to know your weakness. Know what you're strong in, know what I'm weak in. Nope, that's not me right there. My wife and I, we always laugh about stuff. My wife says, that is not my ministry. Oh, we laugh around and talk about stuff around the house all the time. Nope, that's not my ministry. Not my ministry. My wife, she don't mind cooking, but she said that is not her ministry. I'm trying to tell you, it's not. And can I help you? Cooking ain't even on my radar. I understand where my weaknesses are. You would not want me in the kitchen. Now, if you want me to come over and clean some things up, you want me to, straighten some stuff out and all that, that's me. That's all me. But there's some things that are just not my ministry. Got to know your strengths and your weaknesses. Look, you can also work on your emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. Somebody ought to write that down. This is some good stuff, I'm telling you. Emotional intelligence. Somebody ought to write it down. Emotional intelligence. Because see, what we're doing here, we're talking about building better relationships, right? And so I'm going to give you some terms, and we're going to have some conversation about what's going to help us as we're interacting with our spouse, with our family, with our friends, our co-workers, our folk in the church. We all need to hear this. We all need to hear this. I just love preparing this stuff because it helps me as the pastor. Just looking at it. Emotional intelligence. This is the ability to recognize how your emotions affect you and the people around you. It's the ability to recognize how your emotions affect you and the people around you. It's the ability, and the same thing, you don't even have to write this down, same thing. It's the ability to understand, manage, and express one's emotions in healthy ways. Notice I said healthy ways. It includes having a healthy understanding of the emotions of other people. Just because some people respond the way they respond don't mean they the demon and the devil. Some people got other stuff going on in their lives. And oftentimes we do this well in the church, we call them the devil. And they're not the devil, they just got something going on. They just experienced death in the family. They just fell out of a relationship they had been in for the last 30 years. They've been abused by somebody. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are going on in the lives of people, and we have to understand that. Healthy understanding of the emotions of other people, why people feel the way they feel, what's going on with them, why they behave the way they behave. Emotional intelligence really is a multifaceted concept. You don't necessarily have to write this. Surrounding the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and use emotions effectively in oneself and other people. Not just other people, but you as well. How we interact with people plays a critical role in the social communication, self-awareness, and our decision making. Plays a big role in that. Here are some key components to developing what I call people skills. Key components. Let me give you 5. You don't have to write. You don't have to write down the dictation that comes after that. Just the word. Number 1, self-awareness. 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 Self-awareness just has to do with recognizing and understanding one's emotions. Number 2, self-regulation. And self-regulation just simply means managing and controlling one's emotional responses. I just said that a few minutes ago. Remember earlier I said, don't let people make you act crazy, because they'll do it. And listen, and sometimes people don't do it on purpose. It's just how they act. It's who they are. And they need the same kind of help we need that we talking about in here right now. Self-regulation. Number 3, motivation. Using emotions to drive oneself toward goals. Motivation. Number 4, empathy. Understanding and sharing the feelings of others. Please, as Bishop Strickland would say, for God's sake, have empathy. Social skills. Number 5, social skills. Simply means managing relationships and navigating social networks effectively. Ooh, all of that came under number 2. Here comes number 3. Number 3. This is a hard one right here. It's hard, but I got to say it. Respect and appreciate other people. That's number 3. Respect and appreciate other people. It is really a powerful relationship builder when we do that. Make time for everyone regardless of who they are. Okay, y'all missed what I said. Don't just be nice because the preacher is standing in front of you when you're interacting with other people. Be nice to them no matter who's standing there. Be just as nice to other people as you are to the pastor, the presiding elder, and the bishop. Y'all missed what I just said. You got to be consistent in that. Respectful and kind. I mean, the way some people talk to folk, they would never talk to the pastor, the presiding elder, the bishop that way. But they talk to other people that way. What is that? We have a level of respect for those folk, but not a level of respect for the other people that we interact with every day. Make it consistent with everybody. Everybody. Does that make sense? Or should we only respect certain people? Should we respect everybody? The same way. God is no respecter. I used to always tell people all the time, if that be the case, then we all going to have, the bishop's going to have the top place in heaven. Then the presiding elder's going to have the next level in his family. And then the pastor's going to have the next level. And then all y'all going to be at the bottom. Is that how that works? So then we ought to treat each other the same. The same way that you respect the pastor or the presiding elder or the bishop or the first lady of the district or the first lady of the church or the missionary supervisor, or you ought to treat people the same way. Look at somebody and say, don't change on me, don't change on me. Don't change on me, don't change on me. All right, can I keep going? As I said, respect and appreciate others, right? Don't just focus on impressing what you consider to be important people, those at the top of the ladder. But look, everybody. Number 4, okay, I'm going to move. Number 4. I tell people all the time, talking about church relationships or relationships in general, accept, support, and be supportive. Accept, support, and be supportive. There's a lot of people who work in church and in ministry with really no expertise in what they do, but will act like they got a PhD in parking lot ministry. Y'all miss what I just said. Nobody is on to a 4-year institution and graduated with a degree in that particular area that they're working in. But they treat people like they do. And that's what I said earlier when I said that they believe that they have all the knowledge and all the information regarding the ministry and nobody else can say nothing. Ooh, y'all got real quiet. Some people in here like that? I heard a yes. Wait a minute. No. What I'm trying to say, as I said earlier, everybody got information. Everybody got knowledge. And be willing to accept the information and the knowledge that other people have. We don't know it all. Even as a pastor who's trained in what I do, I don't have all the answers. And I'm constantly reading and researching and dialoguing with people to get information. Sometimes you're a test case and you don't even know it. Y'all miss what I just said. Sometimes we carrying on a great conversation and you a test case. I said, all right, let me ask him this question. Put you in the lab. Let me ask that question. Okay, let me watch and see how they respond to people. Okay, let me watch and see how they interact over there. Okay, let me just see how they, I see how they just rolled their eyes at that person right there like that. Did you see that? They just walk right past them like they didn't exist. I mean, it's just test case. Oh, we got to accept and be supportive. We have to be supportive. It's important. Yeah. So here comes the word. So be proactive, help others, and if there's an opportunity to assist with something, take the opportunity. Let me get on to number 5. Number 5. This might be the last one for the day. Oh, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. Please don't be upset when I say this one. This is going to hurt. Be positive. Number 5, be positive. Be optimistic. Be encouraging. Here it is. Let me help you. Do not wear dirty laundry. Okay, y'all didn't hear that. Okay. Do not carry dirty laundry. Whatever's inside of us typically will come out of us. So it's important that we are that we work on washing and cleaning ourselves inwardly so that the right stuff comes outside of us. Used to be this show, used to come on. Matter of fact, every time I scroll, through the the menu, it still comes on. And I said, I don't even understand why this show's still on. So many different shows, I don't understand why they on. The name of the show is called Cheaters. Oh, y'all watch it? Okay, I got. Thank you for your response. I mean, there's some stuff that you just can't watch because it infects your spirit. I mean, it really does. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to take away your Young and the Restless. I mean, there's some things we have to be careful because if we're not careful, the stuff that's in us will come out of us and it becomes so natural. Initially, it's difficult. It's like, oh, I better not do that. Ooh, I better watch out for that. Ooh, I better not let nobody see that. Oh, if I'm going to go over here, I better make sure I don't want nobody to see me doing that. To the place where people just get so natural with it, they just do it. They don't even care if anybody sees them. Did y'all hear what I just said? They don't care. Okay, I'll use this as an example. It doesn't mean that some folk try to sneak into the club. Right? I'm saying they did, and they do. They didn't want nobody to know that they go to the club, but then after and somebody drops them off at the front. Or they take a Uber or the bus. But then after a while, they start parking their car right in the front. They don't care. Because they become so comfortable with what they're doing that they really don't care who sees them. I'm saying that's why we got to be careful what goes in. Stop carrying stuff that happened 20 years ago. Let it go. If somebody's still talking about something that somebody did to them 10 years ago, guess what? They haven't got over it yet. And they're carrying it around. And it's causing some health issues in your personal life. Oh, man, I got to go. It's 1:02. I got to go. Oh, man, this is some good stuff. Look at somebody say, let it go. Let it go. Oh, man. Okay. When we come together next week, I want you to write this down because this is going to be a part of our conversation. And you're going to really like this. I'm going to talk about 6 types of relationships and their effect on your life. 6 types of relationships and their effect on your life. Before I get up out of here, any questions? Anybody has before we get up out of here? Can I ask you another question? Is this helpful? Is it helpful? Now, here's the key piece. Here's the key piece.